You already know the feeling. Someone claps loudest for your success, stands closest in your photos, and still, something in your gut whispers that you are being used, not loved, watched, not supported. This is not paranoia. It is instinct. And by the end of this video, you will have a working method, drawn from Bob Marley's own life, for reading exactly who around you is real and who is only feeding on your rise. Guess wrong in Trenchtown, and you lost your dinner. Guess wrong today, and you could lose years, money, even your name, to someone who was never on your side to begin with. In the yards of Trenchtown, a barefoot boy named Robert Nesta Marley learned this lesson early, watching grown men smile at each other while their eyes counted every coin in another man's pocket. He noticed who disappeared the moment trouble came looking, and who stayed to take a beating meant for someone else entirely. That difference, young Bob decided, was the only currency that ever truly mattered. Trenchtown taught him something else too, a kind of food chain hiding under every friendship. Some people wanted his football skill, some wanted his songs, some just wanted to stand close enough to be seen with him. He learned to separate the two groups early, those who wanted something from him and those who simply wanted good for him. Most people, he found, never fell cleanly into either side alone. This is the story of the 5 rules Bob Marley used to spot false friends before they struck. Plus, the one hidden rule almost nobody ever talks about. 5 rules, 1 secret. Watch closely now. Rule 1. The bedside test. After bullets tore through his home in December of 1976, Bob lay wounded in a borrowed house up in the hills and quietly began counting who came. The count was short. Men who had eaten at his table for years sent no word at all. Others, ones he had barely noticed before, sat outside his door for hours, saying nothing, just present. Bob named it simply. The bedside test asks one question only. Who shows up when you are wounded, not when you are winning? Applause is cheap. Presence in the dark room never is. Run the bedside test on your own life today. Think of your last hard week, a lost job, a breakup, a public failure. Who actually called? Who only liked the post? The gap is your answer. Rule 2. The borrowed flag. By 1976, Jamaica's 2 political parties were at open war in the streets, and both desperately wanted Bob's face stitched onto their competing banners. Officials close to the government pushed hard for a free concert called Smile Jamaica, timed deliberately before an election, quietly framing Bob's goodwill as an endorsement he had never actually agreed to give. Friends inside his own camp urged him to play anyway, insisting the danger was exaggerated, that the optics mattered more than his safety. 2 nights before the show, armed men entered his yard. The borrowed flag is this. People will drape your name over their cause, call it loyalty, and vanish the instant that cause turns dangerous, costly, or simply inconvenient for them personally. Watch for it now, in your own world. A coworker who invokes your project loudly in meetings, but disappears the moment it needs defending. A friend who shares your win, then goes silent when you need backup. It shows up in bigger rooms too. A brand that borrows your image for a campaign, then drops you quietly the moment a controversy makes you inconvenient to be associated with publicly. 2 rules down. The next 2 are far harder to spot because they do not look like betrayal at all. They look like closeness. They look like family. That is exactly the danger hiding inside them. Rule 3. The envy current. Inside Bob's own band and inner circle, some men studied his walk, his phrasing, his chords, not to learn from him, but to quietly measure the distance between his shine and theirs. One musician, close enough to share cigarettes and verses backstage, began correcting Bob in front of others, small jabs dressed as jokes, always timed for when a crowd happened to be watching. Another would praise a new song loudly in the room, then privately tell promoters it was weaker than the last one, planting doubt while keeping his own hands looking completely clean. The envy current does not announce itself with any warning. It flows quietly beneath compliments, inside jokes that land a little too hard, and help offered a little too loudly, always in front of witnesses. Feel for it in your own circle right now. The friend who praises you online but corrects you in private. The colleague who only helps you when the boss happens to be watching. That current runs cold underneath. Bob kept these people close, but never gave them the deepest room in his mind. He let the envy current show itself in daylight, then quietly moved his real plans somewhere else entirely. Right here is where most viewers scroll past. The same way false friends scroll past your struggles. If you want the rest of Bob's method for spotting betrayal before it lands, subscribe now, because Rule 4 changes everything. Rule 4. The silence test. In the tense days before the shooting, whispers moved quietly through Kingston's underworld, warnings that something violent was already coming for the house on Hope Road. Some who heard those whispers chose silence instead, calculating that staying quiet kept them safe, or perhaps still useful, to whoever was already planning the attack against him. The silence test is not about what people say to your face. It is about what they withhold from you. A true friend hands you the warning, even when it costs them comfort or standing. Notice who fails to warn you in your own life. The coworker who knew about the layoffs and let you walk in blind. The friend who watched someone deceive you and never once said a word. The silence test also lives in smaller rooms. A group chat that goes quiet the moment your name comes up unfairly. Everyone reading, nobody defending, nobody willing to spend the courage. 4 rules behind you now. The 5th is the one where false friends finally stop hiding in the shadows entirely and start openly collecting on what they believe you already owe them. Rule 5. The loyalty tax. After the shooting, men began appearing around Bob, offering protection, connections, safety, all generously priced in access to his name, his money, and his time. One of the men collecting his tax was no stranger at all. He was a boy Bob once shared a barefoot yard with, who now called every visit brotherhood, while quietly totaling what that brotherhood could still be worth. They called it looking out for him. In practice, every single favor came stitched to a demand, a cut, a credit, a debt he had never once agreed to owe anybody. The loyalty tax is simple to spot once named. Real support asks for nothing in return. Manipulated loyalty always sends an invoice eventually, even when it arrives dressed as brotherhood. Look for the invoice hiding in your own relationships, the favor that always comes with a reminder attached, the support that quietly turns into a debt the moment you succeed without them. Here's the rule Bob never said out loud, the quiet principle running underneath all 5 rules combined, the one that made every other rule actually work in practice. Call it the last witness. The last witness means no one else can audit your circle for you. Not fans, not family, not even Bob's own songs could do that work. Only you can watch closely enough to actually know. Bob trusted his own eyes over any crowd's applause. He let people prove themselves in silence, in crisis, in the moments no camera was rolling, and he adjusted who stood near him accordingly. This is why Bob never fully explained himself to the ones who failed his tests. Explanation is currency too, and the last witness spends it only on people who have already proven they deserve it. Step out of Trenchtown for a moment. This next part is not about Bob anymore. It is about you and the circle you have built without ever once formally checking it. Ask yourself honestly, using the bedside test. When you were last wounded, who from your circle actually showed up in person and who only liked the post about it from a distance? Ask yourself, using the borrowed flag, who has draped your name over their own cause lately, and whether they would still be standing there the moment that cause turned genuinely costly for them. Ask yourself, using the envy current, who corrects you loudest in front of others and softest the moment no one else is around to actually hear it happen? Ask yourself, using the silence test, what warning someone in your life might be sitting on right now, choosing their own comfort over your protection, choosing silence over plain honesty. Ask yourself, using the loyalty tax, which relationship in your life always seems to send an invoice, disguised carefully as care, the moment you rise without them beside you? You do not need to answer any of this out loud. You already know the names. That knowing, uncomfortable as it is the entire point of this audit. Bob turned all 5 rules into something usable, not just a warning to survive, but a working method you can carry into any room, any friendship, any deal you walk into from now on. Next time someone claps loudly for you, wait, watch what they do the next time you stumble instead. That single moment tells you more than 100 compliments ever could. Next time someone offers you help, notice whether they mention it again later, whether it quietly becomes a debt. Real support, the kind worth keeping, simply forgets it ever happened. Next time you sense a warning being withheld from you, ask directly. Silence under real pressure reveals exactly where a person's true loyalty has been sitting the entire time. Next time you feel the envy current running underneath the compliment, say nothing back. Watch instead. The current always shows itself fully to whoever is patient enough to keep watching. Before the final word, one last challenge waits for you. If Bob himself stood inside your circle right now, would he pass his own bedside test with you? Or fail it completely? Pause here, look at the screen, lock in your answer before this story closes for good. Subscribing here is more than a click. It is you choosing to become the kind of person worth showing up for. The way Bob learned to spot exactly who deserved his trust. False friends fear a sharp eye. Sharpen yours. Subscribe and never be blindsided again.